We're not. Oh, there we go. And we're live.
I think so.
There he is.
All right, guys, you got to wait till the intro quits playing because we were having trouble buffering. So we're here now. I am glad to be here. And we have a lot to live up to that great show last night in the Easy Speak. I know it's the Speakeasy, but I like to intentionally mess stuff up.
You're right. It's the Easy Speak at Speakeasy 3:30. It's a tongue twister.
But, you know, it was a lot of fun watching you guys. But let's get into it tonight. Raj Meadow will be joining us shortly. Never on time, Raj. Welcome from Davis, Kessler, and Davis, the living legend himself, Robbie Davis. What's up, Robbie?
Oh, it's one night till NFL football kicks off. Excited about it. Can't wait to talk about it again. We had a great time last night. And then, good to be here, as always.
In the left-hand corner from beautiful Tennessee, the man that looks like Sean McVay's twin, but knows a lot less about football, it is Brandon Chang. Brandon, I want to bring you in by telling you sympathy. Today I said in our group text I might start the season 1-5. I think that's possible. When I was doing that 1-5, you were the one, though. So good luck this week.
Oh, okay. So you think you're going to get the W this week? So I hate to spoil you here, but you might be 0-6. So
well, you're projecting within the same.
You cannot look at these stupid
Robbie Davis said,
ESPN projections. They're absolutely ridiculous. When is that ever?
We might get a neutral party, Tom, and not tell him which team is which and have him pick a winner for us before the night's over with.
Maybe we'll do it, but
that'd be awesome. Well, welcome, Brandon. We do open up the season against each other.
We do, and I think I play you or Raj or somebody like 5 or 6 times this year.
Yeah, me. Luckily, I play Clipper Clay a lot, so I'm definitely going to make
Bobby,
the
playoffs. I want to know what you do so you and I never play every year. I'm beginning to conspiracy on this too. Rob Randall.
It's the Robandle deal, man. I'm telling you. He's got this algorithm worked out to where he doesn't have to play you, but all you can do is trade with you.
It's complicated.
I offered a trade into our league mate, Arden. I thought was fair. He sent me back a trade offer that would have had me send him my 1st round pick, my 3rd round pick, and my 5th round pick for his 7th and 8th round pick. I didn't really think that was too fair.
He's learning quickly.
Above me, from the great state of Michigan, the Wolverine, the Lion, the host last night. And you know what? He's going to get some hosting doozy here. Mr. Tom Sloan, welcome, buddy.
What is up, fellas? Yeah, we had a great time last night. My co-host, Rich Jasper, threw a fastball my way. I'm not usually the moderator, but he threw the reins to me, and it was really cool to have Robbie and Brandon on. And I think, if you're looking for a straightforward preview of this year's NFL season and beyond, check it out. The Easy Speak. Yeah. It was great. It's, right here on the RiverCity-Media as well. So.
Yeah, Brandon, can you drop like a link to that episode below or
wherever? I really want to after I promoted it, paid for an advertising. I mean, y'all trying to replace me or what, Robbie?
No. I was so close to wearing the same blue hoodie I had on last night. But I was like, I don't want to get everyone confused. So
they are a link in the comments to last night's show, which I actually thought was a great show. I was really happy with last night's show. And you know what, guys? What makes me feel good about that? I started RiverCity-Media knowing I had to create content. But ever since I've been on RiverCity-Media, I didn't want to create content. I wanted content created and let me watch it. And last night may be the first time that anything's been on River City Media that I went, oh, yeah, this is what I want it to be. This is the vision. And I was able to sit back. And I tell you what, I was behind the scenes. I was posting it to websites. You know, it's when you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, you know, this is your baby, you know, River City Media, and we're just all happy to be a part of it and, you know, create content, because I mean, we could talk for hours, obviously. So
especially now. Every week there's just action packed and plenty to talk about.
Absolutely.
Last night, whenever Tom was like, he gave us the rundown. He was like, I was like, so how long are we wanting to go? And he's like, an hour. And I was like, whoa, that's
yeah. Is that for the first two questions, or?
Yeah, I was like, that's aggressive. I was like, that's a 3-hour show for this show.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him too. You know, every single question, you know, he focused on one person, and then there was no rebuttal, and it was like, I really wanted to say, I had something to say every single time.
Oh, I took notes on every answer, and I was like, is he coming to me? Is he coming to me? He's like, no, yeah, next question.
It's like, new question. I'm like, what is going on here?
Anybody wants to see last night's show, just click that link in the comments. It'll take you right to it and enjoy what I thought was a great preview. I was really proud of it. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with River City Media, except there's one guy that's on here too much, and he needs to be off more, because I get sick of looking at him, and that would be QB1. Hey, I am sick. But, well, between the radio station and River City Media, I'm on the air about 13 hours a week. And I'm like, nobody, not even me, wants to listen to me 13 hours a week. So,
no, you do a great job.
You're the straw.
You're the ringmaster.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, Dave Portnoy is not always on the air at Barstool. Just point that out.
We're making
not anymore. Now that he sold it.
Yeah. Let's welcome our friend JP in, who we're going to have on the air. We may get JP in next week. I'm really dying to get JP on some college football.
If you want knowledge, he's the creme de la creme when it comes to not only Michigan football, but he's plugged into a lot. So it'd be a good thing to have him on.
I'm gonna throw it out there again. I think next year a Big Ten show with JP, Tom Sloan, Chain, and Raj would be absolutely beautiful once USC is in the conference. But let's get moving ahead. We don't want to talk about teams, but I want to talk individuals tonight. I want to talk about what we expect a little bit for some folks, good and bad, over the next year. And I want to start with something that I have thought a lot about, and that is Rookie of the Year. And every year, Rookie of the Year seems lately to be a guy that comes out of nowhere, a guy that we don't expect. I think the guy I have, even on I sent out a top bets list to you guys. I don't see him on there. So let's talk about Rookie of the Year. There's one guy in particular that Rob and Chain will have a lot to say about, I think. And let's start there. Robbie, has Treylon Burks got a chance to win Rookie of the Year with the Titans?
Not if things go well. And what I mean by that is that the Titans want to be downhill, Derrick Henry, pound the football. Yeah, Burks will get his looks, and he should fill in that A.J. Brown role. But the same reason A.J. Brown was a Pro Bowler, never an MVP candidate, because that's not what the Titans want to do. They want to run the ball. And so now rookie's a little different standard than MVP, obviously. But I mean, I think there's other people that will have better statistical years. You could take Christian Watson for the Packers, for instance. Aaron Rodgers needs someone to throw the ball to a lot. If Burks is getting Rookie of the Year votes or having consideration, something's went wrong. Henry's got hurt. The offensive line's got hurt. Something's went wrong. I think Burks is going to be really, really good, but Rookie of the Year, no, I wouldn't put him in my top 5 just because the offense built into, and frankly, if I don't want him to be rookie of the year, I want it to be Henry, pound the ball. Let's just really let's take away what this new spread offense is doing. That's what Vrabel's done these last 3 years. It's almost like a triple option. We're counteracting what you do, and we're punishing you for it.
Good point. Good point. I'll come back to you for a pick while we get around to everybody. Taking a different direction here, Chain. You can comment on Burks too, but I thought your Ohio State guy is sitting awful pretty in New Orleans to possibly win a Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. So real quick on Burks, I tend to agree with Robbie a little bit, but also if he's Rookie of the Year, something went really right, in my opinion. I think that we're running the ball well enough to where he's open and he's making highlight reels, and he's got 10, 15 touchdowns or something of that nature.
Well,
so I think it could go that way. It's not our typical style, and who knows what this kid's going to do. Obviously we traded AJ for him and reached to get him, so they see something we don't. I don't know. They're not. Vrabel is almost identical to Belichick as far as leading or giving information to the media. There's nothing. There's silence. We didn't even know about his asthma till 5-6 weeks in after he's on the team. So I don't know. I think it could be really good if he's up for that category. Then one, we're running the ball effectively enough to do the play action, and he's the guy that we go to. So on the next note, Chris Olave, yes. Winston is a gunslinger. He may have 33 touchdowns and 28 interceptions. That's just how he is.
The return of Michael Thomas also makes this dicey for Olave a little bit too.
I think it helps him. I think the attention is going to be more on Michael Thomas just because he is the number one guy. And you've got, quite a talent on the other side with Olave. And, we've seen number two guys in systems like this that shine just because they're the number one's getting so much attention. So I wouldn't count him out. I do like him a lot offensively, but if you're going defense Rookie of the Year, I know you didn't ask that question, but I'm going to go ahead and comment on it real quick. It pains me to say Aidan Hutchinson is probably the clear favorite, and after his little song and dance on Hard Knocks, so how can you not like the guy?
I don't know if he's not one of the top 3 or 4 guys in Rookie of the Year, period.
Exactly.
All right. What do you got on Aidan Hutchinson?
Well, the big knock really coming in on Aidan was people always look at his last performance and what Georgia did to him. Mind you, Georgia game planned 100% to stop Aidan Hutchinson. So top that with Ajabo, who may not have been healthy, not to make excuses, but he was a non-factor in that game. So I think a lot of people were a little wondering, how's this going to equate to the NFL? And from what I've seen in camp, from what I've seen of the limited action on the field, his first play from scrimmage, he ran Mariota out of the pocket. Second play, gets a tackle for loss. Yeah, it's the preseason, but this is a guy that knows how to play the game. He's hungry, and that passion started after blowing out his knee in his junior year. He's got the physical aspects like the Bosa brothers. I really think he's a lot like the Bosas in a sense that he has a knack to find the ball carrier, and get after the quarterback. So from what I can tell, the game is not bigger than it hasn't got to him. He doesn't feel like overwhelmed by it. But again, it is the preseason, so I look for him to really be a big factor on the defensive end. And Detroit's got a really nice defensive end on the other side, Charles Davis, who last half of the season really came out of nowhere, and he had I think 4 or 5 sacks. So when you have bookends like that, that definitely is going to make his job easier. And then here's another defensive player on that team. I know I'm eating cornbread over here, but Malcolm Rodriguez, 6th-round pick from Oklahoma State, coming up the middle. That's going to make Aidan's job that much easier when you have a hard-nosed linebacker that has just come out of the blocks like gangbusters. And so when he's getting at the quarterback, he's busting up offensive lines. It's going to really make that defensive line more impactful.
And one bad or unimpactful game against that Georgia team was as loaded as we've seen. Yeah. They lost one game to the greatest dynasty in college football, and then ran game buster over everyone else, including beating them. Like, that team was nasty.
Yeah. So I think 8-9 sacks is probably doable. That might be a low ball, but it's going to be exciting to watch, especially in being a local hero around here.
All right, Raj, welcome in. We're talking about offensive and defensive rookies of the year. I've got one particular I want to ask you about from my Atlanta Falcons. Could Drake London win the offensive rookie of the year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the only thing I'd say that would hurt against him is the fact that Kyle Pitts is there and they're going to share balls. He's a 6'5" receiver that caught 88, 90 balls last year in 8 games. He is a basketball player like an actual basketball player. He had a scholarship to play at a tournament team at USC. He's got better ball skills than anybody I've seen in a long time. So, yeah, and knowing the Falcons' offensive line and Mariota, he's going to be doing a lot of running and throwing the ball up there to catch. So I do think so, yeah. Is he going to have the scores and that would require Atlanta to move the ball down the field, et cetera? Probably not. But could he win it? Absolutely.
Raj, before we jump off, let's jump to the defensive side of the ball. And somebody we talked about on draft night, Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. That's somebody, along with Trayvon Walker, I think, and Aidan Hutchinson. Don't want to overlook either of them. But those are 3 guys that can make a lot of noise because they're all 3 off-the-edge guys. Anyone in particular you like better than the other one as far as production in year one?
Thibodeau is, my SC guys have Corey Foreman, who was the number 1 overall player from Southern California, much like Thibodeau. Thibodeau's a different athlete, though. He's a different animal. And it's romanticized, if you will, that he's a stand-up outside pass rusher on the New York Giants, who have the legacy of arguably, in my opinion, the greatest outside stand-up pass rusher in Lawrence Taylor. So he'd really be my pick. I mean, I think he's going to get the hype necessary. Ironically enough, Leonard Williams, the old USC Trojan, he's going to depend a lot on him. And Dexter Lawrence, the old solid pickup from Clemson on the inside. But the Giants have it. And so he would be my pick to click, if you will, just because, I think he's wearing number 5 or something. Probably not a coincidence with good old number 56. There's something about that giant blue. He's going to be something to reckon with, whether on paper or off.
That's a great point. All right, guys. Anybody got a point they want to make before we start taking some picks out here?
Kyle Hamilton is another name playing in Baltimore. that, he's got the pedigree coming from Notre Dame to possibly come away with the defensive rookie of the year. Baltimore is, they use their safeties. They use them up in the run game and in the pass game. So, and he's got the size and the ability. So I could see, not far-fetched to think that he could come away with that award as well.
No, it's not. I think that's a good point. Kenny Pickett, of course, did not win the starting job, but remains the number one rookie of the year offensive side. Robbie, before we do picks, Kenny Pickett, that odds seems short for a guy that didn't win the starting jobs.
Well, yeah, and if I'm looking at the same side, Malik Willis is number 2 on that list. So what it tells me is what we said, or what at least I said all year. This was a terrible QB draft class. Like Kenny Pickett may be good eventually, but it's going to take him half the season to win this job. But he's not going off to work. If he wins this job, that means he's just slightly better than Trubisky. After Trubisky had a camp to be better than him. So we're not looking for much. Malik Willis may be great, but at the current time, he can't read a defense. He's athletic. He'll score on the goal line packages, but he can't read a defense. And Titans fans know all too well what Vince Young looks like. You're talented, but you can't read defenses. Pittsburgh comes in there, they embarrass you. They say this is what he's looking at. He can't pick the mic up, and it's embarrassing. And so, hopefully Malik will. I do think he's got talent. I think he will study the game, but that's just the reality of coming from college to the NFL now. As much as the NFL models college and they spread offenses, there's still a whole hell of a lot faster players and better players on defense. There is no more, I have one receiver that beats your nickelback, and I pick on him over and over and over again. That doesn't happen in the NFL. So you have to be able to read coverage. And it's not even I'm not saying intelligence, it's just experience. And when you come from those lower level schools, you just have more buy games, essentially.
Trubisky, by the way, 29-21 all time, 64 TDs, 38 picks. Not always on great teams either. Good fit for Pittsburgh.
He looked really good against the Lions whenever they played him.
All right, guys.
Best games.
You know what that's saying.
Let's fire it off. Everybody around. We're going to go Randall, Tom, Jane, Rod, Robbie. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to give you my offensive rookie of the year first, and I'm going to give you a case for him that it's Damian Pierce from the Houston Texans at plus 2,000.
I have him on my fantasy team.
Here's the one guy that does not have competition for that job. It is Burkhead, his backup. On a team that Davis Mills starts at quarterback, you might see a monster amount of touches for Pierce during the year. I also struggled because my next pick, I'll give you my second alternative pick, was George Pickens, and I think he's a camp darling. If you listen to the Steeler reports, everybody loves George Pickens. I just don't trust the same guy, it's Trubisky, with being able to get him the ball enough. On the defensive side of the football, I thought Tom was actually going to say it when he started talking about Kyle Hamilton and, the great Ed Reed and those great safeties in Baltimore. But I'm going to go with the New York Jets' great cornerback. And I thought of Del Rivas and people like that in the past. And I'm going to give you Sauce Gardner as a kid that I really like, that comes in and takes half the field away. And that seems like two positions get all the attention in the NFL from the media, rush in and cornerback. So if you play well at either one of them, you got a chance to win that award. Tom.
Yeah, I like maybe one of two offensive guys, and we talked about Drake London. I think he's he's got all the tools in the world to be able to compete for that position. But the challenge, like Raj said, is Mariota going to be able to filter the ball to Kyle Pitts and him, and so that'll be tough. But I think this is a long shot that I picked earlier, and I think it's based upon the fact that there really aren't many receivers on this team. I like a Romeo Doubs from the Packers. From everything I've heard out of camp, Aaron Rodgers is really falling for this guy. He's really done well for him, and he's the type of quarterback that he doesn't want you to talk. Just go out and make plays. That's why he really likes Allen Lazard. So I think they're looking for a number 2, and he definitely has the ability to fill that role. We all know that Aaron Rodgers has a knack, just like Tom Brady, to make the lesser names look really good. So this is a classic case of Aaron Rodgers maybe having the ability to take this rookie under his wing and go to the North and get him that Rookie of the Year. And on defense, I mean, call me a homer or whatever. I just think Aidan Hutchinson has got that NFL body. He's got the speed. He's ready. He spent 4 years at Michigan. And, one of the things we talked about last night, I really respect college players that stay 4 years because they mature not only on the football field, but off of the football field. And I think for somebody as a number 2 pick, he comes into Hard Knocks. They ask him what his signing bonus is, $23 million. He doesn't seem to really seem like, the game, like he's all, better than it. So I think he's mature. I think he's ready. And the Lions definitely need a player like him to, hang their hat on, we'll say, and be the face of the franchise. And I really think he's the one that's going to bring it home. Like I said, 8-9 sacks, maybe more, definitely potentially for more. So we'll see.
All right, Jane.
So going back to what we talked about, offensively, for Rookie of the Year, especially if I'm looking at some of these wide receivers right now, I like a gunslinger, somebody that throws the ball a lot, an offense that passes a lot. So I do like Chris Olave stepping in beside Michael Thomas here. I think he's got all the potential in the world, and they're going to pass the ball a lot, even with Kamara in the backfield. I still think, Winston likes to air it out. So that's probably my favorite. Second would probably be Skye Moore. I think, what did he play for? Washington State or I can't remember.
Western Michigan.
That's right. So again, he's in an offense with somewhat of a hole. There's 30-something% of the targets gone now that Tyreek's gone. And when you get quarterbacks that are elite like that, they make people around them better. And you look for that in Mahomes to just he has his favorites occasionally, but he also likes to spread it around quite a bit. And I think, down the stretch, this guy could show up as a deep sleeper here for Rookie of the Year if he gets to see some time. So defensively, again, it pains me to say, but Aidan, the dude's a beast, and I like his style playing. You said it perfectly earlier, Tom. He definitely reminds me of the Bosa brothers. It's just nose to the ground, find the ball, move people out of the way, and tackle, and that's what this guy does. And it's he's a beast, and I don't even know who I would pick second. Maybe Thibodeau, but I'm clear favorite on Hutchinson right now.
All right, Raj. I trust your analysis probably as much as anybody's. What do you got?
Well, don't trust it now because I agree with Shane on offensive rookie of the year. No, I liked Olave as well, just because of exactly what he said. When I look at a most complete team, I think that's often what the rookie of the year will come from, that he represents. They have probably the best, if one of the top 3 or 4 offensive lines in the NFL, with Pete and Ramsick and a bunch of those dudes. And Jameis loves to sling it. They are on turf. They have Kamara and other guys that can just spread you wide open. And yeah, the other receivers are Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry, that are both different types of receivers that, while they aren't 40, I tend to think they look like they're 40, but they just have a lot of miles. So I like him. If I'd pick a backup, I'd probably go with Breece Hall. Although that kind of is counterintuitive, because I'm not a big fan of his quarterback, and Michael Carter is pretty underrated if you ask me, but he'll get the ball a ton, I think. I don't want to steal anyone else's thunder, but I also like a possible Georgia running back who's also in the AFC, but that's just throwing it out there. Defensively, yeah, I mean, it's hard not to like Hutchinson. I also am addicted to the drug of Hard Knocks, but he's just prototypical, it looks like. If I'd pick somebody second, I'd go off a little bit, and I'd go with Devin Lloyd in Jacksonville, kind of playing the middle spot, the Miles Jack spot, and he's equally athletic and make a ton of plays. You got Trayvon, you got Josh Allen, you got dudes up front. He's going to have the ability to make plays, and that dude is a freak athlete. So those are my dudes that I'm looking at.
Robbie Davis.
Yeah, so now I've talked myself into liking Burks a little bit from Tennessee. But I'm going to go Olave, and then Burks is a second option, because the more I think about it, the people that are favored over him, they all play on bum teams. So I'm not picking anyone from the Jets or the Falcons or the Washington team. And then, yeah, Hutchinson on defense, he just seems like he's going to get it. The Lions play defense a lot, so he'll have a lot of stats.
All right.
I
think that's a pretty good breakdown. Now, the next group, when we do this breakdown, it's crazy that we do it this way, but let's talk about, and I cannot wrap my head around this, the NFL Defensive Offensive Player of the Year and the MVP. The MVP is not necessarily the Offensive Player of the Year. That drives me crazy, but let's just breeze through the MVP voting. And while we're there, we'll talk about who could win Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year. Generally, you have the MVP, which is a outstanding quarterback, and then the Offensive Player of the Year will be the best skilled person that's not a quarterback, is the way it's been lately. So I want to throw a couple of names out and just get the reaction as we go through these. One, Aaron Rodgers has dominated this award. And, of course, he's had Devontae Adams with him. And now you see, no Adams. Patrick Mahomes loses Tyreek Hill. Can he win an MVP with these young receivers? Herbert, again, set up with great receivers. Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer. But I think my leading candidate for the MVP would be Josh Allen, who has set up beautifully. I think you just got to figure out who the slot guy is. Is it Isaiah McKenzie? Is it Jamison Crowder? Who's it going to be? So if I was going to give you an MVP, an Offensive Player of the Year, a Defensive Player of the Year, I would give you Josh Allen as the MVP of the league. I would give you, this may be a little strange to some people, but I think Jonathan Taylor has a monster year with the Colts, and I'm going to call him the Offensive Player of the Year. And just for a bonus, I think my Defensive Player of the Year wins Comeback Player of the Year. I think comeback player of the year and NFL defensive player of the year is Chase Young. So those were my picks. Tom, take the floor.
Well, I agree with you on the MVP. I just like I talk about last night's show. If there's a player that has a bigger chip on his shoulder for not being able to get that ball in overtime in that AFC Championship game, which may be one of the greatest, championship games that I've ever seen, it's Josh Allen. It just tit for tat, touchdown after touchdown. That was just an epic game. And I think the last 2 years he's really tasted what it's like to get almost there. And I think that weighs on players. And this would be the third year that he'd get almost to the promised land. And I just see big things from him. He's going to have a lot of opportunities because the defense is going to be solid. Adding Von Miller, just as we called him, he's the championship. He's, looking for
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's Josh Allen. It has to be because, he's surrounded by talent and he just has that hunger and that drive. Offensive. Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, you look at King Henry keep his reign going? What would be his third or fourth year in a row with just absurd numbers that he puts on the field. Then you look at a player that potentially, 2 years ago, you're looking at just a long stream of success, but last year didn't look too good. And Alvin Kamara, QB1's Tennessee Volunteer there and Robbie's. So he has potential. Then you also got to look at, Christian McCaffrey. And of course, these are all based upon, the level of health that they have. But I think I'm going to steal Brandon's thunder from last night a little bit. Because the more I stewed over what he was saying, and it just made sense to me. Tom Brady, Offensive Player of the Year. The guy just seems to find a way to win and to battle through adversity. And you want to talk about a guy that is hungry. How many championships does he have? 6. And he loses out on going to the Super Bowl last year, and that weighed on him so heavy that you can't tell me that
7.
He might have 7. I don't know. I lost count.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Lost 2 to lost 4 AFC Championship games to Peyton.
And lost 1 to Philadelphia.
Equation, and where is he at?
Didn't New England win that Super Bowl? Oh, the second one. You're right. Yeah, they won the second one. So I can see Brady coming back and just like, okay, whatever all this outside noise is. And we talked about it last night, and Brandon was very good with how he was able to describe just the way he is, what's in his head, his competitive drive. So I like Tom Brady to be the Offensive Player of the Year, which maybe he would be the MVP. So that would be tough. There could be co-MVPs. You're here first. And Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going Nick Bosa. If he can stay healthy, there isn't a player probably in the NFL not named TJ Watt that can take over a game defensively. I think last year he battled with a lot of injuries and it hurt him, hurt the team. So I can see Nick Bosa coming in and really making a lot of noise. So and Buckeye Bosa.
Brandon, before you start, and I kind of threw a bonus in comeback player of the year. I was going to assume, Tom, when you're talking about Henry, you're probably including Henry then as a comeback player of the year.
Comeback Player of the Year, Henry?
Yeah, he didn't play, 6 games last year, 7 games?
Oh, yeah, but how many yards? Well, it took, 5-6 weeks before he was out, before the next player took over in yardage?
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe, perhaps.
All right, Brandon, roll her out there.
Yeah. So I mean, we like Tom said, we kind of covered this last night. My MVP favorite is Tom Brady. I think he's on a mission this year. Think, the whole quasi-retiring deal and all that. Like, he's got a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder. I think their offense is good enough, and they play in a weak enough division. When you get them rolling and you let Tom Brady kind of run that thing, he makes people better. Like, he's just one of those dudes that just, it doesn't matter who's on his team. He makes people better. And if he tells you to be here in, 7 seconds, be on the side of the hash mark of 7 yards, and the ball's going to be there, the ball will be there. And that's just what I see out of him. And it could be potentially his last year. So I think he's going to give it his all. So that's my favorite for the MVP. Offensive Player of the Year, which could battle for the MVP, obviously. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's 2 in a row, could go for the three-peat. I know there's no Devontae, but he's another guy. He's just a dude that just makes people better around him. Like, he slings the thing. He knows his offense, and he will throw it and stick it in your helmet if you can't catch it. And that's just that guy. And what was the other question? Comeback Player of the Year?
Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year?
Yes.
Man, I like the Nick Bosa thing. Obviously, I'm a little biased on the Buckeyes, but Aaron Donald is just such a dude. And if the Rams get anywhere close to the championship game, and this guy competes like he does, I mean, he's a beast. He's unstoppable. Best defensive player on the field at any given time, in my opinion. Second close would be Jeff Simmons, in my opinion. But
you're not a little biased on that one.
No, I'm not at all. Have you seen this dude?
Hey,
he is a beast. I'm telling you, there's only 2 people I've ever seen move the line like that, and that's Aaron Donald and Jeffrey Simmons. And they move weight on the line, and it is impressive.
You're not going to include Albert Hainsworthy in that list? Never mind. Roger.
No, he stepped on someone's face, man. He can't. No, he lost all credit. So,
Raj Meta, I'm interested to see, and I'm not joking. I kind of thought about Derek Carr as an MVP. He's got the weapons, so long shot. I don't hate Derek Carr if you're trying to find somebody to make some money off of it.
He's definitely got the weapons. You're right. One thing about Carr is, ever since he broke his leg, 3 years ago, when they were 11-4 going into the playoffs, he's had happy feet. Now, last year was a bit different, but his offensive line isn't doing him any favors this year. But you're right. I mean, if you're looking at someone that could go off, he has a very real chance of leading the league in passing yards. I'm not a Josh Jacobs guy either. I do like Zamir White from Georgia, but long story short, he's going to be able to throw the ball a lot. I think I agree with Tom. I didn't want to. I almost went with Herbert, but Josh Allen is my MVP. It's another great storyline. Like we said, we all saw him with his hands like just itching to get into the game. He's the best player on arguably the best team. Offensive Player of the Year, I didn't go Herbert just because of the whole quarterback thing, but I'm going, provided he stays healthy, of course, with Austin Eckler. Eckler last year had 900 yards on the ground and like 12 or 11 TDs. Another like 70 receptions, another 8 TDs, like 650 yards. He's just got ample chances and a crazy offense. Defensive Player of the Year, I agree with you guys. I think Bosa is going to be the leader. I definitely don't like him as a person or politics, but I do admire and respect him as a player. It's kind of weird. I'm looking at two teams that I don't like despite where I grew up, but San Francisco I think they're going to be awesome. Defensively, they got better. Drake Jackson, Hufanga, both guys from USC. I'm not biased. But Bosa and then Fred Warner are my two picks to click. And then with the Chargers, you got Mac, Joey Bosa, and the guy to look out for who's probably the best overall. I mean, one of the most impactful players, I think, at that position at strong safety is Derwin James. Comeback player of the year. I think we just started doing that because we just went off on it. See what Randall does. He's got to treat us like herding cats, man, because he says one thing, we're going to run with it. But
I think I started.
Henry had 900 yards, but he only played in 8 games. What about the other guy? I'm not going to say who I think, but Lamar Jackson didn't finish the season, did he? He got hurt, right? I can't remember. But anyways, dude, think about. But yeah.
All right, Robbie Davis. Before we leave, Raj, I think Khalil Mack playing opposite of Joey Bosa could win Defensive Player of the Year too.
Yeah, I mean him, J.C. Jackson, again, Derwin James, and Joey Bosa. 4 guys who can play off each other, and they could all share numbers, or one of them could just go off thanks to the other 3 or 2. Or that team's loaded, man. It sucks for the Raiders.
I mean, my initial reaction to these are all kind of dumb awards. They are all regular season awards, and it's a team game. So, I mean, what does it matter? I think Aaron Rodgers has won 3 or 4 MVPs. He's got 1 Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. We talked about the Packers with Brett Favre and then following Aaron Rodgers. You got 2 Super Bowls to show for it, But if I have to answer the question, I will. MVP, I'm going Josh Allen. I mean, just because they're the media darlings and people don't like to be wrong, right? And so they're all hyping them up during the preseason. They want to be proven correct. This is a media-driven award, so they're going to vote for who they want.
So what's your actual opinion, though? Not like what you want to conform to get right on the pick. What's your actual opinion of your MVP?
Well, I mean,
is it still Josh Allen?
Well, no. Well, that's a very subjective. Who's your most valuable player? Your most valuable player could be what you value. I mean, it could be.
It is subjective and it's opinionated, and I'm asking your opinion.
But aren't we asking who's going to win it, or are we asking who is it for?
I think we're asking our opinions on, right?
Yeah, who would be your MVP? Robbie Davis.
Well, no one's played yet. I mean, so
but preseason ranking.
So who do I hope's my MVP?
Yeah,
I hope my MVP is Ryan Tannehill. But who do I think's going to be my MVP? Well, my MVP is damn sure not going to be someone from a different team. But I mean, for someone, like the most valuable player for a team is going to be the team that makes them to the Super Bowl. But it's a regular season award. So it's
conjecture. Who do you think has the best odds to win it based upon coming from a good team?
So that's the question
I know, but
to answer. And then they took. So I can tell you, I think's going to win it, and I'm going to think it's Josh Allen. But this is why I think it's a stupid award, because it's going to be all it's all best team, pro player. So it's going to be Josh Allen. I think the defense player is going to be T.J. Watt. I think the offensive player of the year and comeback player of the year is going to be Derrick Henry. I mean, but I feel like we just waste a lot of time talking about awards.
That's everything we do is conjecture, man. Like,
you're an attorney.
This is reckless speculation. Come on, let's go.
Back it up with your own
Nobody lawyered a question more than Robbie Davis just did that one. That was the most attorney.
I mean,
I love it. We got a special recognition.
I mean, hell, if you ask Tom who his most valuable player is, he's going to have MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Hutchinson's probably gonna get the most offensive touchdowns of the year. He's gonna sweep the awards.
This is a slippery slope, Randall, as you know.
Hey, Brandon, you got to recognize.
I saw.
You got an Uncle Brandon down here.
That's my sister, and maybe the kids are watching, so that's why I got the Uncle Brandon. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. We all do.
That's awesome.
All right. Let's move on to college football. And Robbie, there actually was games last week, so you don't have to speculate.
Finally.
Let's start with winners and losers last week. I threw some of them on the group chat, but everybody just kind of give me your winners and losers last week. And I'm going to go first, as I like to get out of the way. I think I'm going to get out of this bombshell early. I think the loser of the week was the destruction of the Pac-12 conference and the fact that nobody has had a worse offseason than you losing UCLA, losing USC. Then your two highest ranked teams get destroyed on TV. Well, one got destroyed and one lost to the 8th and 9th SEC team. I think that's more proof. UCLA having 20,000 people show up also, I thought was a bad look. The winner of the week, I thought about this a lot, but I think the person or the team that I started the week with and just went, wow, I didn't see that coming. I didn't know. I didn't think that was the Georgia Bulldogs. I really expected to see something less than last year's team, and 49-3 against Oregon. And I do think we're overreacting that it's Dan Lanning's first game. And, there's a lot of things went wrong for Oregon other than, hey, Georgia's a better football team. But after watching that defense be rebuilt against Bo Nix, which, I don't think would give you the best look because Bo Nix has been Bo Nix forever. I think the Georgia Bulldogs would be my winner of the week. And we will go to – let's change it up. Robbie Davis first for his instant reaction.
Yeah, so my instant reaction for my winners was, in no order, Ohio State, FSU, and Georgia. Georgia, for what you said, man, they beat the brakes out of Oregon. And that's a team that lost 15 players in the NFL, reloaded. Good God, that tight end they have, like 6'7", that's leaping over players. Freak of nature.
I would like, now that you bring that up, was Harrison Bailey good, or was it the fact that he threw the football to Eric Gilbert for 4 years? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And so going up that ladder, Florida State, great win, essentially a de facto away game at LSU, giving the ACC some credibility now after some down years. So I think that was really good. Ohio State they did what they're supposed to. They won the games they lost last year against Oregon and Michigan. And so they were able to battle in the trenches. They came out on top, just controlled the game. Loser with an asterisk is Oregon. They looked horrible, but don't forget, in Chip Kelly's first year, they went to Boise, lost to that Boise team, then went on and won a couple of Pac-12s, went to the championship game. Oregon's still at Nike money. Oregon's going to be okay. They probably find up their way in the Big Ten eventually, but that's good. Loser that won, Iowa. Man, this is where it gets tricky. Do not hire your kids to work underneath you. Kirk Ferentz, been at Iowa forever.
What about your dad?
I was about to say, what did you say to your dad?
You can have. Oh no, I guarantee he'll say the same thing about me. This is constructive criticism. Look, Kirk Ferentz has been at Iowa for a long time. They've been pretty good, but 7 points in this modern day college football, and they did it a funny way: a field goal, 2 safeties to get to 7. Terrible outing. They won the game, but didn't look good. And then Randall, can I hit Georgia Tech up now, or can I have my own little 5 minutes? Because I've got a lot to say about Georgia Tech. I can hit it real quick, or I can wait for my final thoughts. I have a lot to say about Georgia Tech.
I was going to give you your final thought on that one.
Okay, I will save that for my final thoughts.
Yeah. All right. Let's go with Rod. We'll go reverse order. Rod, what do you got for winners and losers this week?
We mentioned Georgia and Oregon, neither of them, because I already thought Georgia was going to be damn good. I know they lost a lot of guys, but it's just like Bama year in and year out. The way they recruited, the amount of 5-star, they go 3 deep in 4 and 5 stars. So I expected that. How Oregon was number 11, I was baffled by that. I'm not a conference guy. I root for one team in the conference, so I don't really care about the other noise. You guys have seen Bo Nix play, so I guess if I think of a loser, I would think of Bo Nix and reality being the loser in that case.
While you're there, I wanted to ask you, though, because you and I maybe were higher on Utah than anybody. Did you think – I just think Florida played really well at home. And I mean, that's not a lot of teams have went into the swamp and lost. I don't know that Utah is really off a 29-26 loss, Florida.
No, I mean, and you had said that 9th place team, I guess coming in, people thought that team was better than a lot of teams I saw this past weekend, SEC or otherwise. Utah's notoriously slow starting. That's one of those games that I think if it was in Utah at night, it would have been 29-26 the other way. The bottom line is the best player on that field, and my winner for the week is this guy was unstoppable, is Anthony Richardson. He had the highlight plays that we all love, that pseudo Tebow, even better than Tebow, like his 360 jump pass. I wanted to call traveling, but then I realized that it's not basketball. You can come down with the ball. But he was unstoppable, and that's why Utah lost. You can't duplicate that type of presence and player. Utah lost a lot in the middle of their defense as well, but I just thought the best player in the field won that day, and he was better than anything I remember last year. And Florida was better than I thought. Obviously along the same lines with Richardson. I know it's hokey, but Billy Napier, man, they seem to buy in real quick, that program. And, obviously being a Southern Cal guy with Lincoln Riley, it's easy to see, you buy in. They played Rice. They put up 66. They had weapons everywhere and all these transfers. But Florida, I mean, that was a lot of Napier there. And so they were really my winner overall. But because of Richardson and Napier being better than expected.
Everything I'm wearing, my dad sends.
Is that me?
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
I don't know who that one is.
That was not me. I have no idea.
In terms of losers, again, it's like Oregon.
I hate interrupting you again, but you made a point. I want to go there. Dan Mullen last year, I think 90% of the fans that watched every time Anthony Richards got on the field went, "How are you playing Emory Jones over Anthony Richardson?" Anthony Richardson, in your opinion, I know in my opinion, if he has a good year, this kid jumps into the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in next year's draft.
I mean, whatever it is, in college, it's like he could be Tebow-esque, just the most dominant player, not necessarily, although the NFL has changed since Tebow. But yeah, I mean, he just looks like a dominant college player. Now, against Alabama and other teams where he's going to be forced to drop back, we will see. Georgia, Alabama, the two that come to mind. it's funny that I think Rob brought up like winners, that teams that won the game, but that we're going to call losers. I still have never been impressed with A&M and Jimbo. It's one game against Sam Houston, but Sam Houston is Sam Houston. Haynes King, it's just they are who I thought they were, not who like deserved of the hype. We can say the same thing about any close win, NC State, blah blah blah. But yeah, I'd probably just go with A&M if it's possible with a 31-0 win. But there was nothing there, nothing special to me, and I know they have one of the highest recruiting classes ever, blah, blah, blah. Well, that doesn't mean much, as you can look at Butch Jones and Lane Kiffin, Tennessee and USC especially, with all these top 15 classes. It doesn't matter if you can coach them. And I don't think Jimbo is much of a coach personally.
I'd like to say, moving forward in this show, Butch Jones is permanently banned.
Oh, sorry. Oh, and real quick on the Pac-12, I know we talked about like the audience and stuff. I do defend them because I'm one of the few people out west that like loves sports and thinks it's rational to love it this much. As Robbie knows, it's Southern California. It's not Norman, Oklahoma, or some other town in the South. But being said, it was 110 degrees.
Yeah, it was hot as HELL.
It was the hottest it's been for a kickoff, I think, ever. But still, over 300,000 people, which I wouldn't have been one of them, went out to sporting events in LA on Saturday and Sunday. Between the Angels with 2 home games, around 56,000. The Dodgers, 50,000 each day. USC and UCLA. UCLA isn't getting anybody. They were even giving people $25 credits. So basically paying you $25 to go to the Rose Bowl. Also just an empty, cavernous stadium that's really only full these days for one game. But then LAFC and the Galaxy also both played, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. So I am defending it as a great sports town, but it was hot, and I probably would have been at the beach, to be honest. It was too damn hot. But yeah,
right,
what about the 12? Everybody leaving.
It's hot in the South. We never go to sporting events.
You go to museums. Oh, sorry.
That's like saying if it's cold in Michigan, they don't go to the games.
There you go.
Yeah.
You
You just show up. You show up.
LA would have been better off just going, hey, there's 12,000 people here. Instead of now 36,000.
They should have played in Poly Pavilion, just played some 7-on-7 flag football.
It's like the Chargers. They played at the Galaxy Stadium in Carson. They should definitely play there.
Yeah. All right, Brandon Jane. I know one of your winners is going to be, but let's go with it.
I don't think you do. My big winner, Raj stole my thunder when you asked the question, and it's definitely Anthony Richardson and the Florida Gators. Man, this dude was electric. They really impressed me. Napier, just the offensive scheme, the whole game. They ran the ball well when they needed to. And Richardson, they just didn't have an answer for him.
I think,
and I was,
so
and they might, but I'm just saying for this game, I mean, they were on point, they were on top of it, and I was all over Utah here. As you know, that was one of my kind of bet your nuts. I think a week ago, I was all over Utah, and
not kind of.
Hey, nobody put a quarter in you. You just pipe down over there. So. No, I loved what I saw out of them this first game, and just the raw athleticism of Richardson and just football IQ. This dude could see the field, can see the defense, and is very, very quick on decisions, and that's what you need in a leader QB. So that was my winner, personally. I felt. The loser would have to be LSU and Brian Kelly and his debacle of that game. all of a sudden he lost his Southern accent. I don't know what happened. This guy, his media day, I don't know if you guys saw it. Like, he talks normal now. He has no Southern accent anymore.
Ma'am, you are late here 5 minutes.
Now he's charging people $10 to have a party at his house at the end of the year.
Swearing, or being late.
Showing up late to media day. But anyway, that's my winner and loser. Secondary loser, and I'm hard on. It's not really a loser. We still won the game. Ohio State. I was expecting a lot more of an explosive offense, and I get why it didn't happen. It almost reminded me of old school Trussell football, like just old school trenches, keep the lead and not really try to pounce on them.
Must have been a little sleeve tattoos coming out. Trussell.
That's a bad matchup for scoring 1 million points. Notre Dame is tough up front, and you did lose.
They are.
Arguably,
we did. Player. But if you go back and look, I mean, CJ Stroud was very hesitant. I think he was very scared of making a mistake, and he didn't play very freely like he did the second half of the season last year. So he didn't really sling it like I would expect him to. And we're always notorious to start slow, and obviously that's why we get beat early in the season to some of these big matchups. But I thought overall they did a good job. They controlled the game. They controlled the game clock. They said, screw the spread points, whatever. We're just gonna, we're gonna get in the trenches and do it. But
this is our only hard game until the proverbial Purdue game for every Big Ten school. The Purdue game, then whenever that comes in.
Every Purdue game.
Doesn't matter home, away, whenever Purdue comes in. It's the toughest game on the schedule.
What do you guys rank? You just make the top 25 finally? Thank you.
I got
We're a basketball school.
All right. It's over. Sorry, young Chain. I had to mute your uncle for talking about the basketball school. I'll bring him back. All right, Tom. Interested to see if you bring up your Michigan Wolverines, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, about Michigan, let's face it, they played Colorado State. 31 was 30.5 the spread. You like that they handled their business. Yes, they won 51-7. It seems like JJ McCarthy probably will be the number one moving forward, rightfully so. I think he gives them a better opportunity to win. But I can't really get too excited, at least for the next couple of weeks, when they've got Hawaii coming in with a 48.5-point spread. And then
gave up 63 to Vandy.
Yeah. And then the week after that's UConn. So come on. I mean, it's a silly schedule. But the winner of this week, in my opinion, is a guy who, even after winning the national championship, didn't get any love from the SEC pundits coming into the preseason, ranking him the 10th, I think, best quarterback in the SEC, and that's Stetson Bennett.
That's about where he belongs.
Well, you know what? He had a great game. On top of their defense, he played well. 25-31 for 368 yards and 2 touchdowns. He handled that team, and he did what most people thought he would do, defending your national champion, coming in, with a lot of hype. So I just think he's never really been considered an elite quarterback, an elite SEC quarterback. So it was really cool to see. Not only did he won the national championship last season thanks to the defense, but he came out and he proved that he was worthy of being named the starter this year. Robbie?
Yeah, I will say this, and to touch on what Raj said earlier, is that the preseason rankings, they're just a media darling that they just to drive. Oregon's not 11, Utah's not 7.
No.
Like and to put him on road games and bad situations, like no, like that's the play. Once they enter the playoff rankings, get rid of these preseason rankings and just let teams be and let them figure. Because they say you ignore them, but you don't. Like because it's all just gambling related.
It looks good.
You know, go ahead.
I made a great point about Stetson Bennett, but I jokingly said something. In a normal year, I think Stetson Bennett is maybe a quarterback 4 or 5 in the SEC. But unfortunately, this year, the SEC probably has its best quarterback class maybe ever. So it distorts that a little bit because you got Rattler transferred in. You got Will Levis at Kentucky. You got the defending Heisman Trophy winner at Alabama. You've got KJ Jefferson at Arkansas. You've got Hayden Hooker at Tennessee. I think everybody after last year.
Your friends are still building sandcastles, but you've already.
I think everybody.
Interrupting. It's ironic though. The SEC's traditionally had horrible quarterback classes because they don't need them. But this year, you're right. They are phenomenal.
I think in a normal year, Stetson Bennett gets a little more love. Yeah.
So. And I agree with everybody else with Florida. I don't think we gave them a lot of pub coming in. I think we all generally agreed that Utah was gonna go down there and win, and we were wrong.
Yeah.
But my loser of the week, and this is outside the box. The San Diego State University held their debut of the Snapdragon Stadium.
Nice.
And it was an absolute debacle. Temperatures got up into the 110s. And what is wrong with this stadium? Number one, I think it only holds like 35,000 people. But number two, there is no shade anywhere in the stadium. People were literally falling out from heat exhaustion. They ran out of beer or water. They ran out of ice. And the killer was they brought in an architectural firm from outside of the state of California that knew nothing about their weather situations and things that they are faced with. And it sounds like they may have went the cheap route, but definitely not a good debut for the Snapdragon Stadium. Also, I'm going to go down the road from here as another loser is Michigan State. All I hear is tuck coming. And if not for an absolutely gassed Western Michigan defense, Michigan State doesn't cover. And heck, at some point in that fourth quarter, they were being Western had more yardage, and they were the time of possession was like 10 minutes more. So not a good showing for Peyton Thorne and Mel Tucker.
Hey, Tom, remind me. I can't remember. Like, I do hope Mel Tucker succeeds. He's grossly overpaid. But who was it that was coming after him that made Michigan State do this outrageous deal? Or what was the threat?
Well, the threat was that he was going to leave.
But was it LSU or was it?
There were rumors that he was going to go to LSU because obviously 1 year in Colorado.
That Saban nightmare again.
Yeah, 1 year in Colorado, and then he kind of bailed on his team like Brian Kelly, who is also another loser in my opinion. So,
97 mil.
Winner also. Side note: the reporter who clapped back at Brian Kelly when he complained that you got to be here on time, and he clapped back and says, well, maybe if you would have won, we would be here on time. So kudos to him. He's the MVP.
Agreed.
$97 million for Mel Tucker.
They covered by 1 point. I was all over.
Oh, no. Look,
Michigan.
every single weekend there's college sports. The biggest winner in the whole country is Jimmy Sexton. He gets people paid. He runs circles on athletic directors every day of the week.
All right. We're right at the time I want to call the show, but I want to give a little new segment. We'll do Bet Your Nuts here in just a minute. But instead of final words, I just want to give everybody a chance to, what are we going to call this? Preachers, hoes, and we all know. I don't know. We'll come up with a name. I want each of you to take, I think Robbie's going to go a while when he gets to Georgia Tech, but just a minute or two in your final words to just give me your thoughts of this week in football. I do want to go myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I am going to be a complete homer. So if you don't want to hear about Tennessee football for the next 90 seconds, I would suggest you mute me.
Just give me a thumbs up when you're back on, because I'm about to.
All right.
I hear enough.
Tennessee football. I had Ball State on a Thursday night, and there was 90,000 people there. There's a different level of excitement in Tennessee football. We wanted Scott Frost so badly that the nation kind of mourned, or the state mourned, when Scott Frost left and went to Nebraska. But I think of all the stupid things that we've done over the last decade, maybe the football gods smiled on us a little bit and let us land Josh Heupel. I think Tennessee's going to go to Pittsburgh, and I think they're not going to just cover. I think they're going to annihilate Pittsburgh. I think they come back home, handle Akron, and I think if Florida gets by Kentucky this week, it's very likely that you have an undefeated Florida team and an undefeated Tennessee team playing for the first time in about 15 years. And I think that's what the SEC East needs. Georgia has dominated that side of the conference for so long that the two teams that are supposed to be the competition on the eastern side have stunk the last half a decade for Florida, decade for Tennessee. I think it's very encouraging to the SEC East if you have a better Florida program, a better Tennessee program, along with this dominant Georgia program. We're not there, not Florida's not there, not Tennessee's there, but you see what the SEC was East in the 90s and 2000s. Will it ever get there? I don't know, but I think for the sake of the fandom, it needs to get back to where there's at least a feeling of competition in the SEC East. I don't feel like anyone feels like they can beat Georgia at this point in the SEC East, unless you get a fluke 4-turnover game or a fluke, Georgia just plays awful. So, hate to say it, but I'm not only rooting for for Tennessee, but I'm rooting for Florida. I just want to see the SEC East be better. Rod, do you want to go next? Please, sir. May Trey.
Moy Tarday.
Moy Tarday.
Moy Tarday, you're up.
He's very late. He's very late.
Yeah.
You guys don't know Spanish?
You there, Rod?
I'm back. I was looking at spreads.
How great Brew McCoy is, so you can take over from here.
Oh, I do like Hendon Hooker, and we'll get into Bet Your Nuts, but I definitely like them against Pitt. But yeah,
all right.
Good for Tennessee. They're good. I like them.
Go ahead, Rod, with your rant for the week.
Oh, I was just thinking about winners and losers that we discussed, and like I said, with Georgia and Oregon, I go back to Dennis Green, and they are who we thought they are, or they are who they thought we were, or whatever.
Oh, I thought he was.
His grammar was off, but it's like Tennessee. I knew they were good. Georgia, I knew they were good. Oregon, I knew they weren't that great. And so none of those teams really surprised me. And that's why I went with Napier in Florida and Richardson, because I did not know that they would have bought in that much. And when you look around after week one, the teams that you didn't expect, whether positive or negative, are the ones that really are what I take the most from. LSU and Kelly. I didn't think they'd be that bad. FSU played well. I mean, looking at Travis and Verse, the kid from Albany, oh my gosh. Being said, they still went Norvell down on the goal line, and that toss sweep, the pitch on 3rd and goal from the 1. What the? But yeah, they are who we thought they are or were. I can't, man, I'm blowing that one. It's almost as famous as playoffs and practice, but that's what I point to, and that's what I think people need to look toward and not necessarily be surprised by results or one team winning after last year or losing after last year, but just the unexpected. And I know that in college football we tend to expect the unexpected, but not early in the season. And yeah, so it's just like Scott Frost, I'm waning on, but he is not a loser to me because he already was a loser and I didn't expect anything from him. So I just urge people to look at those things, to look at the unexpected and then make your informed opinions based upon week 1.
All right. New guys, you're gonna have to follow this up. Mr. Robbie Davis, could you please bring us your opinion of Georgia Tech football?
So this was my biggest takeaway of the weekend. And this is coming from somebody who used to respect Georgia Tech and used to root for them. And I would watch them when they were on TV. My God, did y'all watch the Clemson game? They looked like they were a high school team. Like from the uniforms are terrible. I can't remember if it's Adidas or I think it's Adidas.
Side note, Robbie's a big uniform guy. Side note.
Yes, I am. The uniforms looked like they were in high school. They didn't know what they were doing. Everything about that game made me just hate Georgia Tech. Like everything. It was just the way they dressed, the way they acted, like they didn't know what they were doing. Clemson sucked, but then they still won by 31. And you had the triple option and you were at least competitive. Yeah, you're not going to be as skilled as the other teams because you're Georgia Tech, but you had something that was unique. And now you just suck. And I hate them for sucking so much. I really do. It's just and I can't get past uniforms. The blue helmets with the gold GT. No, go gold with the white. Everything about that game on Monday night made me hate Georgia Tech. So I am now rooting for them to lose every game of the season until they get rid of Adidas, get rid of those helmets, get back to Nike and get back to the triple option, hire the Navy coach, and get back to basics. You won the coastal or whatever division they're in, the ACC. They won the one they were in, almost won the ACC, running the triple option. Now they're just back down, just sucking. And I remember when
Calvin Johnson and
the Hamilton kid played quarterback. I've been down to Bobby Dodd Stadium many of times. It used to be exciting. Yeah. They played Florida State all the time, great games. Now they just suck. And Josh Pastors, their basketball coach, he sucks too. I'm just tired of Georgia Tech sports in general. Just done with it.
Quickly along the same lines. And that game, the announcers before the half, they were like, "Oh, I don't understand why they run out the clock." The last thing they wanted with that high school offense is Clemson teeing off inside their own.
It was the most frustrating game to watch, and the only game you're on prime time with that nonsense. They should just be like, "No, we don't deserve it. Let's reschedule. Put someone else in there."
Easy cover.
I got one caveat to give. Former River City and current friend of River City, Clayton Powell-Lee, a safety at Georgia Tech. That is Robbie Davis. I still want you on the show.
Did I just piss off our entire bosses?
No, because I agree with you. I'm going to tell you what the problem with Georgia Tech is. I've been waiting on this one too. His name is Jeff Collins. He still has a job at Georgia Tech after going. Are you ready, guys?
Yeah.
He has played 36 games now as head coach of Georgia Tech. His record is 9-27.
Yeah, Paul Johnson had them winning.
He replaced Bobby Johnson, and I for a life of me, I don't know how Jeff Collins still has a job.
It's a great tradition, like at that school, and kids today think it's just a pushover.
In Atlanta, you should at least be good at basketball. They suck at basketball. They suck at football.
At least they're smart.
And they hired him from guess where? Temple. Temple to Georgia Tech.
I'll take Georgia Tech salary and I'll come coach there.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going on mute now. Clayton, Howley, we still love you here at River City Media. We're just trying to get you a decent coach.
He probably agrees.
He probably agrees. All right, Mr. Brandon Chain, we're going to let you have the final word tonight on this. So let's go with Tom. Tom.
Well, I think generally speaking, were there any questions answered after week one? Probably not. Maybe the biggest question I had after this week was, can Georgia be better this year than they were last year? That's tough. Obviously, high expectations. You look at teams like Ohio State, who came out. You thought the big two at receiver and Travion Henderson was going to just steamroll Notre Dame, and that didn't happen. It proven to be that Notre Dame's defense really stuck it to them, and if not for a quarterback and an offensive coordinator who was just, you talk about an offensive scheme. I don't know what kind of plays Notre Dame's offensive coordinator was calling, because it wasn't to win that game, that's for sure. But dark horses, the teams that you didn't think that were going to do anything, coming in like, hey, now we have expectations of maybe Florida, you guys, your Tennessee team. Like, these are teams that, in years past, they were dominant and they've kind of gone by the wayside. Are they coming back? Is this a resurgence year for them? After week one, you know what? Maybe that might be the case. Then you look at games down the wire, just that Pitt, West Virginia game, Penn State, Purdue. I mean, it came down basically the last possession. That's what college football is all about. Pitt didn't have a snowball's chance in Hades to win that game, and then all of a sudden they got hot at the right time. West Virginia made some mistakes at the end. Pitt capitalized, and the rest is history. And same with Purdue. I question the logic that Purdue's coach had by continuing to throw the ball with 6 minutes to go in the game, basically preserving Penn State's timeouts, stopping the clock, and giving the ball back to Penn State with a little over 2 minutes left with 2 timeouts. And the 38-year-old 15th-year senior from Penn State decides to pick the one drive that mattered the most to actually play football, and they march down the field, and he goes 6-7 and gets the game winner. So I think all in all, it's the excitement coming into week one is overwhelming, and expectations are always high. But the reality is maybe people need to be grounded a little bit more. Ohio State's going to be Ohio State. They're going to be just fine. Oregon should be okay coming out of that Pac-12. I think the only team really they got to look at is USC. They look pretty good against, Rice. But it's everybody's got high expectations coming into the first week, and then by the end of the week, there's a lot of people scratching their heads, but it's just exciting to watch and see. It's almost like a movie how things just unfold, and that definitely will be the case this year. It should be pretty exciting, especially in the SEC.
100% agree. Great show, guys. It's hard to follow up last night's show. I mean, it was A++. So I hope we get it out tonight. But final segment in the traditional final segment. Also, you know what? Let's take just 1 second. I know there's been some chat in the private chat. Jasper adding in, but just want to know your opinion. Go around real fast. The Bears proposing a new stadium in Arlington Heights, which Arlington Heights and Schaumburg is kind of communities together. I've spent a lot of time in Schaumburg. Is anybody think the Bears will have leave the city of Chicago. Tom, you're in the area. Just throw out your opinion there real fast, and Robbie and Rod will grab yours, or anybody else real fast.
What was the question? You broke up. I apologize.
The new stadium, do you see the Bears leaving Soldier Field, going to the suburbs?
Well, from all indications, the team wants out. The city they wanted to be able to put in some kind of like a FanDuel type of operation at Soldier Field, and the city basically told them no. And I think that really spoiled them. So I think all indications are they're going to do everything they can. Let's face it, Soldier Field is what it is. It's a ugly stadium, and it's just a shell built over top of ruins, basically. So for the Bears, yeah, I think it'd be good for them to a new stadium. Unfortunately, leaving the city, that'd be a big blow for the fans, because when the Lions obviously moved out of Detroit to Pontiac, that's about the distance between Chicago and Arlington Heights, and really I think that the true fans lost out in the end. Just became more of like a to be seen kind of a thing. But from what I hear, the team wants out because the city has really pissed them off, and I think the figure was $900 million, and in today's standards, that's pretty low. But
I think that's probably $900 million in taxpayer money, and then the rest is going to be funded by, I guess. But we're dealing with the same thing in Tennessee. We have a stadium that's probably 22 years old now, and then they're wanting to move it and then build this. Basically, the common fan is getting left out in all this, and it's just corporate money, and it's but look, we created this culture, right? We gave the NFL this, do what you want to, it doesn't matter, we're going to support your product, whatever. And this is kind of what happens. They're taking it away from the fans, and they're going to build indoor stadiums, they're going to build arenas for Final Fours and for Super Bowls, and that's the next game of it. It sucks for the fans. Brandon and I have been going to the Titans games since they were moved here, and I don't know if we'll get priced out or not, but they're testing our limits.
Probably get priced out, and that's the unfortunate thing, for us Titans fans that have been loyal since 03, 04, 99, whatever. They're going to come up with a new price and new PSL, and we'll get first option to buy. But the PSL, where we paid $3,000 years ago, could be $15,000 now for a PSL. So
the P definitely changed from permanent seat licensing to probable seat licensing.
Exactly.
I will tell you, in Atlanta, Upper Deck 5-yard line went from $2,500 PSL to $10,000 PSL. So that's about what I think.
It's coming.
The reality is, though, when Soldier Field was built, Chicago was a much different city, obviously.
If I was going
dense, Nashville.
They just remodeled it, though. They just remodeled Soldier Field.
They did recently, but that's because, as what
It
Tom
sucks for
said, I was there
tailgating.
before. It was a dump, man. It's just tradition. It's the average NFL stadium is roughly 10 miles outside of a downtown, and this is with cities with major downtowns. The only cities I can think of is Minnesota or Minneapolis and Detroit, areas that have, with Detroit, real estate's not exactly as expensive as it would be in downtown Chicago, but Arlington Heights is roughly 30 minutes away. It's not a terrible train ride, like 45. Arlington, where Jerry World is 20 minutes from Dallas. Miami.
Atlanta's downtown. Atlanta's got
Atlanta's one of the rare ones right there,
stadiums.
but it's also in an area where gentrification had not taken off yet at the time when the site was built, and the real estate and the property. And there's a lot of politics in most cities, obviously. But Phoenix, New York, DC, all suburbs. it's just the common trend. And if I'm an owner and your valuation of your team, ask Rob, with LA, is going to go like triple or quadruple with a brand new stadium and complex and all this stuff. You don't have that in Chicago. It's a relic, and it's not Wrigley, and it doesn't have character. So I don't think this is that big of a deal at all. I think it's capitalism at its finest, and they're going to have this amazing site and fan-friendly battery complex and restaurants and hotels, and everybody's going to forget about Soldier Field eventually.
It is.
Well, what I wonder, if I'm Minnesota and I just built my $2 billion stadium, I got my Super Bowl, I got my Final Four. When's it coming back around to me? Does one Super Bowl, one Final Four, is that pay for this all, or is it?
It's like Detroit? Detroit will never get another one.
Yeah, is that it? Is that because am I just one and done, and then I got to figure it out, I'm not an economics. Like, does that pay for it all?
$2.7 million in Atlanta, and we ain't got one yet. So let's answer your question.
Yeah,
the Falcons are not going to get a Super Bowl probably after what happened with the All-Star game. I hate to wrap it up, but we're over hours, and I do want to get back your.
Well, that should be a lesson also. Don't be crazy in politics.
Don't even address politics.
Yeah. We'll learn that lesson soon.
I'm gonna go ahead with Bet Your Nuts, and I'm gonna fire up first. And I decided during football season, I am just gonna look for lines LINES, that make no sense to me. So I'm gonna give you my first Bet Your Nuts. Is I'm going to catch 3.5 points with Baylor versus BYU. I'm going to catch 3.5 points, take the Baptist to kick the shit out of the Mormons. Who's next?
Did you say shit?
I'll go.
I said shit.
Okay.
I'm taking Alabama -20. It's a lot of points on the road, but they're going to beat the brakes out of them. And I'm taking the under 65. I'm going to parlay that team. 65.5. I'm looking at a 40-10, 40-17 kind of matchup. So I like Alabama -20, under 65.5.
Who are they playing?
Parlay.
Because I don't even know.
That kid's in for a rude awakening.
They're at Texas.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. All right. Roger Mata, your pick.
And I apologize. What's that?
Great call. 2 weeks ago, you said the Braves would chase the Mets down. Tonight, it's a half game after the Mets played a doubleheader. Yesterday, it was a tie. Great call 2 weeks ago when you said when the Braves were 3.5 down, that they would get there, and they are there.
I mean, they're the better team flat out, and Scherzer's 38, and his arm just died, just like it died last year from Rodgers. He's on the IL, and it's 10 days is not going to matter. His arm is dead. The Braves are the better team. I've thought that all along. Them and the Dodgers, and unfortunately the Cardinals now are on fire. But, yeah, I don't care if the Mets somehow won the division. It's like last year. The Giants won the West. They won 107 games. The Dodgers won 106. The Dodgers disposed of them in the first round. The Braves would have done the same.
I would say I don't think it necessarily matters if you win the division. If you just get into the playoffs, I think you're going to be fine, especially with a better team like that.
The Braves defense, though, the Mets fans were running their mouth and back, and they had like a 15-game lead at some point, and the Braves were just like, "Oh, hon, we've been there before," and they're just the better team, and the better team chips away, and they didn't.
And home field advantage doesn't matter in baseball. Like, it really doesn't. It's not like football or NBA or anything else. It's home field advantage just really doesn't matter.
So one thing that matters here, though, Brandon, we go from the 5 seed to a 2 seed, and we get a bye through the first round. And I do think with resting pitchers and in playoff situations,
I get that scenario, but to go and win on the road is not a huge ordeal.
I disagree in the sense of young pitching, and in baseball, of all sports, you have to pay your dues. And the Braves paid their dues until they got past the Dodgers. The Dodgers did the same. The Mets haven't paid their dues, and the Braves have been there before. And they can go on the road.
Freddie hit against the Braves pitching in the NLC championship. That'll be the greatest story of baseball. Go ahead, Raj.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm like you. I just looked at spreads that I was very curious. I think Quinn Ewers is going to get killed. People think he's the second coming. Yeah, Stroud is awesome, but he couldn't touch Stroud. Now he's going to go to Texas and face Alabama. I think he's dead. And their 20 points is a really odd spread. Another thing is I love Florida. We talked about it. Talk about a letdown game. They're 6-point favorites with Kentucky coming in. That's college football in a nutshell to me. Up one week, down the next. So that's a game to watch. Speaking along the same lines, and Oklahoma State didn't look good, but I told you about directional Michigan schools. They are always tough. And Central Michigan, they had that kid, the running back, who had like 1,900 yards last year, and Oklahoma State shut him down. And he had 26 carries. He averaged like less than 3 per carry. The reason why I bring that up is Arizona State's coming to town. And Arizona State has 2 big backs. One's a transfer, Halliday. Can't remember from where, maybe even a MAC school. But Oklahoma State, they can do one thing. They can stop the run. And at first I thought, ASU can grind this game down and whatnot. But I think Oklahoma State's heard the noise, and I'm going to take them to cover the 11.5. There's nothing I really love except for Bama. Another funny spread to me, like Randall said, Miami's only 25 points against Southern Miss. Southern Miss blows. I think they're in the Sun Belt now. They're in the same conference with like Coastal Carolina and Georgia Southern. And then along the same lines, Appy State. A&M's only a 19-point favorite at home. That's the number 6 team in the country. Just odd spreads all the way around. And by the way, USC opened at 9.5, 10. The public's betting it down to 8 against Stanford. If SC looked, they have a lot of talent, so they should cover that game, but I don't touch SC because all they do is let me down.
Hey, Brandon, before we come to you, too, I wanted to ask you, thank you, Raj. I want to ask you real quick, even though we talk a lot about Cincinnati lost last week, but losing at Arkansas is no shame to that program, especially the way they lost.
That was a game, man. That was a great game. Go ahead.
No, not at all. And they played well. I think Arkansas just got a little bit more talent around them than Cincinnati. And my true test,
Robbie,
I guess.
Robbie's needs. I think you need to jump, Robbie. If you need to jump, go ahead.
I'll finish off. Go ahead.
All right. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, true test. Was this like a one-off Cincinnati team that you had a bunch of talent at one time, and they played great for a season, or is this the beginning of building a program? And I think it's the beginning of building a program with Cincinnati. I think they're going to be in the mix for a long time. I think they're going to start recruiting well, especially with all the crazy NLI and transfer portal. But they, I think they held their own against that. They're going to start getting more talent. It's just hard to compete with SEC talent, the speed and dominance and size on multi levels of the ball. So,
and they lost 5 or 6 guys from that defense.
They did, and that's the thing.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think there's a start there to build a program, like a real program.
All right, what's your bet your nuts, buddy?
My bet your nuts. I'm gonna go to NFL. I'm gonna have to take the Colts, man, -7. I think that line is just it's crazy, right? I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it's NFL Week 1. It's kind of a filler kind of bet. That's one of my favorite lines. The other one I love, I'm going to take for a backup, maybe even second or, A1-8 or B2. It would be the Panthers minus
Walter White over there mixing up
1.5
chemistry. A1, B2.
Yeah. No substitution.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Better
take
call
the
Saul. Better come represent you.
I'm going to take the Panthers -1.5. I think Baker's catching a lot of flack here. He's coming in, and Baker, when healthy, he played injured all last year, and when he's playing well, I mean he's a top 15 quarterback in the league. So
Baker Mayfield, the best 10 quarterbacks I've seen play in Neyland Stadium in my life, and that covers a lot of ground.
Hey, I still resent that guy. He planted an Oklahoma flag right in the middle of our stadium after they beat our ass. So I was. Hey, but that's just
your balls, man.
All right.
Hey, that's just the competitiveness of the sport. I like it. It's all good.
Let's go to the Rookie of the Year for reckless speculation.
Oh,
LinkedIn Tom, and you never did a question.
Well, I mean, I would imagine that would get flagged. Yes.
Okay, I'm planning on writing that book, especially for you.
I might find it. I'll be looking. This week, what's that?
It'll be a short book.
For sure. This week, I'm going to go NFL, and I do have a NASCAR as well.
I've been waiting, Robbie.
Oh,
yeah,
NASCAR.
Yeah.
Here
And
we go.
so NFL, this game is going to be the offensive game of the week. I think you have a player who's got a lot of flack in Kyler Murray from his horrible performance in the playoffs last year. And then you have the unknown with Patrick Mahomes, who's going to be the guy. Is it going to be Travis Kelce? Who knows? We'll see. I like Arizona in this game. They're 5.5-point dog. I like the Cardinals here, and I also like the over. The over is 53.5. I think it goes way over that. So take the Cardinals at plus 5.5 and the over of 53.5. And my NASCAR pick of the week, which last week I had who did I have? Who finished second, Robbie? Who was that? It was Denny Hamlin. It was Denny Hamlin.
It was an exciting race last weekend. It was exciting. We both had Hamlin.
Yeah, we both had Hamlin, and
it came down to pit stops and when you're going to pit. Yeah. It was a great race.
He needed 3 or 4 more laps, and he would have won. This week, I think it's a comeback week for this driver who got knocked out early last week. He's won one of the last 5, and it's Chase Elliott. He's at plus 750. I like him to come through. And then a bonus cherry on top. Take Kevin Harvick at plus 410 for a top 3 finish.
I don't mind Larson at plus 800 either. I like him also.
You never mind Larson. You never mind.
You can never go wrong with Larson.
I'm gonna let
Chargers over Raiders. Even though I'm a Raider fan, that 3 points, I'm surprised by that.
I'm letting you double dip, Robbie. There's your screen to give us a NASCAR.
Oh man.
Yeah, I like Larson. Look, Hamlin's a favorite. You got Hamlin, Bush. You got all the big guys. It's playoff time now. They're going for it. Teammates be damned. I like Larson at plus 800 if you're going to wager some money. Chase Elliott's not bad, though. Tom's on the mark. Chase lost. So he went out. So his huge lead he had in the playoff points, he wrecked in the first 5 laps. He lost half of that. So he's got to make some points. He's going to be racing he was on Easy Street, racing for his playoff life now.
All right, we got
as you guys all know, right?
Yeah.
All right,
racing.
Just doing some business underneath down there. You'll see a special code to join Draft for the Upside for $9 a month. That is a discounted rate. You will get credit through RiverCity-Media, and we will receive a bonus for every member we add to it. So if you're looking for premium fantasy contact, Draft for the Upside. Anybody got a final word other than I'm going to say good night, God bless? Anyone want to wrap it up? If not, going once, going twice. Join me Friday night.
Oh, can I just say one word real quick? So like I don't like to be mean to people or evil to people, but what I'm going to do to Clipper Clay this weekend, it's going to be very, very bad. I apologize in advance.
You're going on mute after that. Join me Friday night at 6:45, but locally here in Chattanooga on 93.3 Country Roads for the Jackson County, Sequatchie County game. Join these guys. Y'all doing a speakeasy next week?
Maybe. We need to get you and Raj on.
Raj, they promised to do it.
If we're invited, I'll be on there.
I'll show up. Just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't even know.
Watch for speakeasy, and of course, look for us next Wednesday night for Raj Mehta, the man from the West Coast, Brandon Chain, the Miss Western with the most, Tom Sloan, Michigan with cool, and Robbie Davis, the world's most dangerous attorney, NASCAR expert. I'm Randall Cunningham, and I bid you QB1 adieu.